Hi, everyone. This is our project. What does your fridge say about you? A qualitative study on refrigerators, salary, and care. Presented by Whitney Wright.
Jason Chesino.
and Matt Giordano. So let's take a look at does your fridge say about you? The research questions. A refrigerator is not only a means of food storage and preservation, but a reflection of a person's life, whether there's a cultural look or a socioeconomic status. A refrigerator can tell a lot about a person or a family. This study looks at how fridge contents reflect people's access to care and financial stability. Using Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it explores how a refrigerator can reflect deeper struggles with access, survival, and self care. Many adults struggle with keeping their fridges stocked due to finances, the presence of food deserts, or time and access constraints. So, our study asks, how do fridge contents reflect a person's income, care access, and daily survival strategy?
All right. And before you go to the next slide, make sure you press slideshow.
I just did. I don't know why I got. Yeah, it jumped off.
I
All right.
we are okay.
Okay.
And it's just like it's a literature review in this. We want to make sure that we have the care and access of the fridge contents and how these studies explore the relationships between socioeconomic indicators, dietary behaviors, household food environments for adults and children, and whether it's a low income household, high social economic status, these articles that we have for the research highlights the impact on how food shopping and dietary choices affect one's not only their mental health, but their abilities to function in everyday life. There are so many different areas that the dietary needs of everyone really affects how they are in the community. Sometimes these food choices and their abilities to make their refrigerators stocked with nutritious foods, or at the same time, just to have something to eat, affects their ways in how the individual's survival strategies are conducted.
Let's take a look at some of the limitations that go into a study like this one. For instance, it's a very, very small sample group we are working with. Under time constraints to create this research, we were only able to secure 10 different samples of pictures of refrigerators. The pictures themselves had a limitation to them. We decided to stick with the main area of the refrigerator as opposed to using the refrigerator, the freezer, opening all the drawers up. We wanted a quick snapshot to get a quick cultural snapshot or a quick socioeconomic snapshot of the people's refrigerators. We're also limited by geographic limitations. Is it a rural area? Is it a suburban area? Is it an urban area? These are all questions that come up here. And how many do we have? A normal sampling would be much, much larger than that, but we'd also look for a large demographic group, young and old, singles, family, etc., in order to give ourselves a complete literature review. But these are the limitations we have. So, Whitney, talk to us about the theoretical framework.
Sure. Our theoretical framework that we used was Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Refrigerators are more than just storage, just the cold place to keep your milk from spoiling. Um, Refrigerators reflect our one of our foundational needs for food, and it can show if it's being met or not. Maslow stated in 1943 that the basic human needs are food, water, and shelter. The refrigerator can also represent one's culture, finances, and state of care.
Talk to us about the methodology also.
All right. So the methodology that we used or the steps that we took to complete this study, uh, we asked for pictures of the refrigerators that we used. We used Atlas TI to create a coding system. A survey was sent to the refrigerator owners, as well as an interview questionnaire that was also coded. The survey and the questionnaire were compared against the data that we found in Atlas TI, and the data was graphed against the survey and the questionnaires and compared to the results of the refrigerator pictures. The results were published and conclusions were drawn, and we'll go over those later in the presentation.
So some common themes and codes. We took one fridge example and we used the following categories. We decided to go with the food groups: meats, dairies, vegetables, fruits, beverages, sauces, condiments, and the world famous catch-all uh, other, which include things such as leftover restaurant containers, a pot of half-finished food that was uh, cooked at home. So it actually reflects an interesting dynamic of whether you're taking out or eating in, you still have leftovers. So, Jason, talk to me a little bit about the other common themes that were also found in the refrigerators.
In these refrigerators, you'll definitely see a lot of different commonalities. And one thing that you got to find from the research is, I know it's an appliance, and I know this sounds silly, but there is a salesmanship to it all, and how much you can store in there, and how much you can shelve in the refrigerator, whether it's the crisper, or whether it's um, the area where you're keeping the butter. But at the same time, the condiments that are in there, it affects what is going to be placed in for their ingredients in their, let's say, Sunday dinner. So it's a lot of something that we're trying to really have for the people on those common three themes. And one thing that I always love is the leftovers because you don't want to just make food for today. Sometimes you have the food for tonight or tomorrow, or if you go out to eat, those leftovers. And it's the traditional, well, from what I remember, the doggy bag. You always said it, you want to get the doggy bag, but those doggy bags were really for us because sometimes that 2 a.m. hunger comes in. Or, the kids tomorrow might want it for lunch.
So, tell us about the participant questionnaire and the survey, please.
Cool, sounds good. Okay, so the questionnaire was the easiest of the two. It asked for surface level information. Are you male or female? How old are you? What's your salary or income? What kind of place do you live? Do you live in an urban neighborhood, suburban, or rural? Are you working? Are you not working? Do you have a family? Do you live by yourself? How often do you grocery shop? What's your highest level of education and how many people live with you? Do you have roommates? Do you have children? Things like that. The reflection survey, however, was more qualitative. It asked for more in-depth answers that the numbers could not tell us. So questions like, can you tell me a little about what's in your fridge these days and how it reflects your everyday routine? Are there times when it feels harder to keep the fridge how you'd like it to be? What usually gets in the way? Uh, what do you always try to keep in your fridge no matter what? Why are those things important to you? What would your ideal fridge look like if things lined up just right? Do you share your fridge with anyone? How does that shape how you use it? What helps you decide what to buy or keep stocked in your fridge?
Whitney, since you're the head of the program here and you were the one who came up with the idea, talk to us about the results of what you saw from our coding, from our pictures, our surveys, and our questionnaires.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about the results. Okay. All right. So this is our demographics overview. All of the people that took the survey uh, were filtered into these circles. So if you look in the far left corner, you'll see gender. more female participants participated than male at 67 versus 33%. For ages, most people were over the age of 55 at 67%. Uh, for the income, we had a bit more variety there. 17% made between 41K and 60K, 50% made between 20 and 40K, and 33% made between 80 and 100K. So all of this demographical data really gave us more information on why the refrigerators may have looked the way that they did, because they are impacted by how often people shop, such as 50% biweekly, 17% weekly, 33% as needed. That is going to change the inside of your fridge looks like, as well as your household size. 50% had one person, while the other 50% had more than one person. So we used all of that data in our findings later on.
So, what were some of the common themes we saw there, Whitney?
Sure. So some common themes that we saw, these were the actual fridges that were sent to us. Some of the common themes that we saw was a lot of dairy. Dairy is a common staple, and that could indicate things that are easily accessible either by price or by availability. Price, because they are on the cheaper side of things, and availability, there's milk at the 7-Eleven. So both of those things, or one, could be true. Uh, the second thing we noticed was a high beverage variety. If you take a look at some of the refrigerators, there's soda, juice, energy drinks, exactly one shot of alcohol out of all the fridges. This can indicate a lack of access to fresh pressed juice because we didn't see any. A wide range of condiments. Every single fridge, 100% had condiments, and they were all different. And that could indicate cultural identity, or the ability to try new sauces.
Some common themes also included processed meats, ready-to-eat options that can indicate a busy lifestyle, or even budget limitations because of the expensive price of fresh cut meats. Of course, we can't ignore things such as comfort foods and desserts, such as cinnamon rolls, puddings, ice creams, cakes, and candies. These could be indicators of emotional eating due to stress, long work hours, or just like me, a preference for our sugars. Leftovers and food waste awareness, as every fridge had leftovers. They were all wrapped. As you can see, some of the pictures had foil, some of them had plastic. Priority on not wasting food and cooking at home and its possible time scarcities all could play roles in that. But we want to connect the themes of our questionnaire and survey. So we talked about leftover foods and waste awareness, as every refrigerator had leftovers. One person said the fridge reflects a lot of leftovers in it from ordering food out. Food is oftentimes cooked in the house after 9 p.m. It's too late for some to eat, so they are wrapped up. A lot of them are ingredients for meals with only a few pre-prepared meals, and this is reflected in different demographics. There are not a lot of fruits and vegetables since they are either used or have spoiled and have been thrown out. They also reflected the dairy common as a common staple with eggs, milk, cheese, and water, just the basics in case you needed a quick meal. And as was said before, they also backed up our observations by showing a high variety of drinks, including energy and electrolyte drinks, sparkling waters, lactate milks, and this particular one said they had a replacement of any nutrients after their workouts. Jason, would you be so kind as to talk about our conclusion to our study, please?
And if you really see how we can wrap all this all together and it ties into our fields of study and career or profession, this project is by three researchers, and we are all educators in the field of education. We work with the population, whether it's with children or adults. And it's something that we were really curious about in the human condition, because what drives us? What what fuels us? And the one thing is, like Whitney had said, with Maslow's hierarchy, food. And that's where many people really can tie this topic together. So we did something about our research in people's refrigerators. And the one thing that we all did find that was something difficult, people are very, very private about their refrigerators. You'd be amazed at how hard it is to ask somebody if we can share a picture of their refrigerator, or how many people were hesitant in the sense of, wait, not yet. I have to just organize a few things. But we wanted that true picture. We wanted the snapshot. Can I just open your refrigerator and take a picture of it? We didn't want it staged. We wanted to know what is actually in there. And that's why it wasn't as simple as we thought. So there was much of the research and observation, the interviewing, the data analysis, that we did get a lot of honest answers through the surveys and the questionnaires. And that data is what led us to these themes. And this is where we found that those leftovers, either from inside or outside the home, really showed how much people really cooked or had out to source their foods. And sometimes it's processed foods or ready to eat foods. It's really prevalent, and it indicates the busy lifestyles that we all live in our professional lives. The fatigue, the lack of access to fresh foods, or what's the social economical status. These themes were uh, with everyone. It concurred. The answers from the surveys were mentioned that time was limited, and so was money. So this was a study that wasn't large, and it wasn't over a long period of time, but it did show that refrigerators do indicate how about each other and who we are culturally, our lifestyles, and what our families are like. A fridge doesn't just keep food, it speaks.
All
I would
right.
like to thank
Now,
everybody for this one. Whitney, take it away here.
cool. And now it is time for your refrigerator to speak as well. Okay. For our discussion posts gallery. Okay. Please share a picture of your own refrigerator, or find one online. If you would rather find one online, there's an entire Reddit community that looks in people's fridges. Um, and make an educated guess about two other refrigerators that are in the discussion post.
All right, folks. That's it for all of us. I'm Matt Giordano.
I'm Whitney Wright.
And I'm a very hungry Jason Giacino.
Agreed.
Thank you all so much, and thanks for listening. Bye
Thanks.
bye.